One love, one heart. Let's get together, have breakfast with Bob and Brother Young.
Yeah! We are presented by ES Sports Nutrition, Cliff Bar, Timex, Roca, Tanya Pura, Rudy Project, Slow Twitch. This is our championship edition and our 2015 Ironman World Champion, Mr. Jan Frodeno. Round of applause from our studio audience. Wearing his foliage. Always good to be wearing foliage the day after the Ironman. What's it feel like?
Yeah, it's really great to have this crown, to have it on my head. You know, I've been watching the interviews. Obviously, last year I watched it, and I think Rennie walked out just ahead of me, and I'm like, I'd really like to be wearing one of those right now. And to be honest, it's still a little bit surreal. You know, it's been a crazy couple of weeks beforehand, and last night the whole thing hasn't really sunk in yet. So I'm just making sure I'll wear this and kind of hoping not to wake up from the stream just yet.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's only been 4 guys who've won Olympic gold medals in the sport of triathlon, right? And I think you're the only guy to win an Olympic gold and an Ironman gold, right? That's pretty special. You're in a pretty elite club. Talk a little bit about the difference between winning an Olympic gold and winning the Ironman World Championship.
Well, the Olympics is probably the greatest sports event in general, you know, but really you're racing for your country, you're racing for your nation, and I guess the Olympics is the one time where everybody and anybody watches any sport.
That's true.
Do you watch wrestling any
Never.
other time?
Gymnastics? No. Swimming?
It's not going to happen. Olympics? Yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm at the TV. I'm glued.
Right.
And that's the thing. You win as a nation. You come together, and if you're in Germany, you come home and there's 20 other guys who've won gold medals.
Right. Oh, that's true.
Whereas this is about our sport. This is about the history of our sport. This is, you know, you ask someone triathlon, have you done Hawaii? It's like, no,
so
shit,
I've
won it. And it's kind of it's a pretty cool thing to say.
Yeah, I won that.
Nailed it.
Because I bet you, as an Olympic distance guy, Olympic format guy, you probably had that when you're on a plane and someone says, oh, you're a triathlete? Have you done that Ironman thing?
Oh, trust me, I've heard it heaps. And the Germans are obsessed by Ironman and this, you know, the myth of Hawaii. So in Germany, it's definitely, so when are you doing Hawaii?
Right.
You say you haven't been there. So it's good to have been there. And, and I think over the next few days and weeks, maybe it'll settle in just what's happened. Well,
and if you look at your year, besides, you know, winning Frankfurt, winning Ironman 70.3 Worlds, winning Kona, you're going to be a daddy.
Yeah.
This is an amazing season. When you sketched it out before the year, is that what you were envisioning? That, hey, these are my three major things. Was the showcase, though, this race?
The focus was always on this race. You know, I had a decent year last year, and really I've learned the one thing the Olympics has taught me is to focus on one day. There's, you know, everything else is really a lead up.
Right.
And I had a couple of bad bike crashes throughout the season that sort of threw me back, and it was Greg Bennett who told me, mate, you never know what it's good for. And that's the last thing you hear when you come off the bike and you can't train for a week. Yeah. But maybe, you know, that's what it was good for, just to peak a little bit later in the season and to have, a little bit of training deficit earlier perhaps. And I guess, like you said, becoming a father will give me a definite bit of training deficit early next season, that's for sure.
When you take third in your first time out, you had a penalty, you had a flat, you ran in the transition and had to rechange your running clothes, and you still ran a 2:47 and still finished third and had an amazing day. What did you take away from that helped you yesterday?
Well, the definite thing I took away was to realize that any stage, anytime, anywhere, anything can happen in this race, because 8 hours is a very long day. And that's really when I was going up Polani, and I felt like the soles of my feet were burning. We actually made that joke at the finish line last night.
We were watching the fire guys had the torches up on their feet, and I'm like, that feel like that yesterday?
That's exactly how it felt. Like I had 2 lit torches hanging on my feet, and all that while being locked in a sauna, like I've said. And it's I think pacing and holding on and being patient and never giving up were sort of the key elements that brought me through yesterday. You know, and I took it a little bit, conservative out the way on Queen K. You know, the Energy Lab is legendary, and I had decided to make it my friend. I decided that I will gain energy from the Energy Lab rather than having it take me.
Suck the life out of your body.
Yeah.
But you can.
But you can't do that if you're running in with 550 miles or, or whatever, 340 kilometers.
Yeah.
You know, it's eventually that basket of biscuits is going to be spent.
Yes.
So I think that's where I got a little bit of patience from, which also helped me on the bike yesterday. At times I was a little bit unhappy with the pace and thought I wanted to do more, but it's a long day.
It is a long day. You had Tim O'Donnell, who I think had a phenomenal day, very aggressive on the bike. It's like one of the things that you can predict about this race is it can be unpredictable. You know, all of a sudden you come out of the water, there's Sebastian Kienle, right, who's supposed to be further back.
Yeah.
He's right there. And then Tim O'Donnell is coming back from Hawi. He's the one dictating it. And then in the run, you've got Andreas Rehler, who's one of the best runners out there, went from like 5:45 down to 2:45 down, or like, uh-oh. Were you getting splits, and what were your thoughts about the different things that happened throughout the day?
Well, it was a bit of a mixed bag of emotions because I was out in the front and I had 1:20 somewhere up the road, and I was like, no, guys, I don't want to go on my own. I will not go on my own. I'll just really conservatively rode, help my power, and then all of a sudden, the first guy that passes me, Sebastian Kienle. And I'm like, I had no idea how far behind he was, but I knew he would have spent a fair bit of energy to get there that quickly.
Yeah.
And that kind of made me very happy because I knew that my tactic worked from the swim, because that's the reason why I wanted to gap some guys, is that they blow a lot of energy very early on to bridge the gap. And that always comes back to bite you.
Yes.
And you could see it. I mean, Sebastian's a champion and he prepared well for this race and he came out and gave it his all. And that's sort of where I take my hat off to him.
Yes.
But I think I somehow enticed him a little bit, come chasing after me, and I think that may have been something that may have cost him a better position in the race too.
Right.
So, like you said, it's there's so much going on, but what I did enjoy very much seeing is the way T.O. races. He took it and he wasn't waiting for someone to pass out.
Yes.
He was ready to take the race by the horns, and that's how it should be.
Exactly.
It's individual sport, and it's, you got to be conservative, you got to, save your energy, but really come here to race. Don't wait for everyone else to die. Just,
seize an opportunity when you see it.
Absolutely. Go for it, go with it, and that's why I have the hugest respect for his third place.
Love that. So when you're coming down Elite Drive and you've got this thing, right? And you've, gold medal, 70.3 worlds, Frankfurt, and this is the pinnacle. In terms of our sport, in terms of history of our sport, winning this puts you on that list with Mark Allen and Dave Scott and Paul Newby-Fraser, and all the greats have won this race. What were the thoughts?
It started a little bit later because, there's two parts to the story.
Yeah.
Because an Ironman, whether you ease up or whether you run that little bit harder, it doesn't actually change your level of discomfort. Like let's be honest,
it never goes
it's
away.
not great. If you're at 40 kilometers, it's not fun.
Yeah.
And so that was the one thing. I'm like, if I get to the finish line, this pain's going to be over quicker.
Yeah. Yes.
So keep pushing through it. The other thing is the pictures you see of people crawling that finish line.
Yes.
And I was even thinking of a classic moment, cycling, Eric Zabel, Milan-San Remo, tearing his hands up in the air, celebrating, and some youngster comes and sprints under his arms.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I don't want to be. I don't want to be that
guy.
Nah,
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. So that moment really only came on the carpet.
Yes.
And you see that line of champions the photos that they put up next to the pier, and it well and truly was a very emotional moment. Yeah, being able to put myself on that list, and it was funny because I spent the night more or less talking to Mark Allen about it, and it's just, it's really like you say, a pretty big deal in our sport.
Have you taken this thing off yet?
Only to retie it and make sure the string doesn't stretch anymore.
Any sleep last night?
Very short. 3.5 hours, I think. It's those things. After the finish line party, I was properly revved up and even ended up walking home, checking what felt like 1,000 emails.
Yes.
And this morning I was still up at the crack of dawn. So
Love it. Yeah, and congratulations on an amazing accomplishment. What you've done in just a couple years in long distance. Three seasons is all you've been doing for long course?
yeah, 2.5. Yeah.
2.5 seasons. You go from learning this. What was the toughest part of going from short to long? Just the patience and the nutrition and all that type of stuff?
The toughest thing would have been for me an event, and that was Vegas, and having to quit with serious Achilles issues.
Yes.
Which puts a lot of doubt in your mind because it's the last race of the season, was for me anyways. And you go into the winter wondering whether you can actually do this, whether this is actually on the cards for you, whether you're meant to do this.
Right.
And that sort of made me change my whole approach and setup and team. And it was the scariest but probably the most helpful moment at the same time.
Love it. Jan Frodeno has been our guest. How about a round of applause for our 2015 Ironman World Champion, Poncho Man. Take us out.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and have breakfast with Bob. It's breakfast with Bob.
And Poncho Man and Jan. Woo!